The cold wind cut through the dark alleys of New York, wrapping around Daniel Hayes like an old enemy. He adjusted his tattered coat, shoving his hands deep into his pockets. He had learned to live with the whispers, the sneers, the mocking eyes of those who saw him as nothing more than another nameless face on the street. Tonight was no different. A group of wealthy young professionals draped in designer suits and cocktail dresses laughed at his expense just outside the Avalon, an exclusive club reserved for the city's elite. "Look at him," one sneered, swirling a glass of champagne. "Probably hasn't had a real job in years." Another chuckled. "Maybe he had it all once until he lost everything." Daniel remained silent, his gaze unwavering as he stared at the entrance to the club. He wasn't here for them. He was here for the man inside. Because tonight, the past was coming back to collect a debt. Inside the Avalon, the ice-cold CEO. Inside, Victor Lancaster, CEO of Lancaster Industries, held court at a VIP table, sipping an expensive whiskey. At 52, he was a man feared and respected in equal measure. He had crushed competitors, shattered business rivals, and built an empire on a foundation of ruthless ambition. But beneath the polished surface, there was something missing. "Sir, there's a situation outside," his assistant whispered nervously in his ear. Victor frowned. He didn't tolerate distractions. "What kind of situation?" Before the assistant could answer, a commotion near the entrance drew Victor's gaze. The room fell into an uneasy silence. Daniel had entered. Cleaned up now, wearing a sharp but understated suit, he exuded an aura that made the room shift. He wasn't just some nobody off the streets. There was purpose in his step, fire in his eyes. Victor's expression darkened. "Who let him in?" "I did," Daniel said, voice calm yet unshakable. The murmurs around them grew. The rich and powerful watched with curiosity. Who was this man, and why did he command such attention? Victor scoffed. "I don't know who you think you are, but—" "You do," Daniel interrupted. He leaned in slightly, voice low and steady. "You just don't want to admit it." Victor's grip tightened around his glass. "What do you want?" Daniel's next words changed everything. "I want to talk about your son." The room froze. Victor's face barely flickered, but the tension in his posture betrayed him. "I don't have a son." Daniel gave a knowing smirk. "That's what you told yourself. But the truth always finds its way home." Flashback, a buried secret. 23 years ago, Victor Lancaster had made a choice. He was young, reckless, and too consumed by ambition to care about the woman he left behind. A woman who had carried his child, a child he had refused to acknowledge. That child grew up never knowing his father, never knowing the empire he was truly meant to inherit. But now, after decades of silence, that child had returned, and he was standing right in front of him. Victor's cold exterior wavered for the first time. His mind raced, searching for an escape, an excuse, a way to make this problem disappear. But Daniel wasn't here for money. He wasn't here for revenge. He was here for the truth. The rising storm, a hidden fortune, and a dangerous truth. Outside the club, reporters began to gather. Whispers of a Lancaster family scandal spread like wildfire. Investors were already making calls, sensing blood in the water. Victor stood from his chair, his towering frame casting a long shadow. "You don't know what you're talking about." Daniel tilted his head, amused. "You built an empire, Mr. Lancaster. But you forgot something. The past never stays buried." Victor's jaw clenched. "If you think you can blackmail me—" "I don't want your money," Daniel interrupted. His voice turned colder. "I want you to acknowledge what you did." A silence stretched between them, thick with unspoken words. Then Daniel delivered the final blow. "I know about the will." Victor's breath hitched. For next part, please subscribe.